here in Israel. As you can see, I'm here on the Mount of Olives, and I'm looking for cracks that you can see actually here in the flooring, if you look at here in Israel.
The Mount of Olives is one of the most prophetic and mystical locations in the Bible. It stands towering over the Temple Mount, just east of Jerusalem, and overlooks the city of God. The mountain has been steeped in prophecy, the footsteps of Jesus, and the visions of the end of time itself. And now today, something strange is happening here, something that has caused many to ask if prophecy itself is starting to come to life. There are reports of cracks forming along the Mount of Olives. On the surface, this could be dismissed as nature taking its course. But for Bible students, nonetheless, it raises a chilling question. Is this related to what the Bible foretold would happen at the second coming of Christ? Before we unravel these mysteries, make sure to subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss any of our expeditions into Bible prophecy, archaeology, and the second coming of Jesus Christ. What you're about to learn may permanently change the way you consider Jerusalem. The Mount of Olives is not the tallest mountain on the planet, but it has witnessed some of the most earth-shaking events in history. One can see across the Kidron Valley from its ridge, right into the exact middle of Jerusalem. The Bible directly mentions this mountain over and over again. King David fled here in his darkest moment when he was running from Absalom. 2 Samuel 15 verse 30. The prophet Ezekiel saw the glory of God depart from the temple and rest on its slopes. Ezekiel 11 verse 23. And most importantly, Jesus himself walked here. It was here that Jesus wept over Jerusalem, saying, "If you, even you, had only known on this day what would bring you peace, but now it is hidden from your eyes." Luke 19 verse 42. It was here that he gave his disciples the ominous EndTimesProphecy, the Olivet Discourse, Matthew 24. And it was from this very mountain that he went up to heaven, with angels proclaiming, "This same Jesus will come back in the same way you have seen him go." Acts 1 verse 11. But Zechariah takes the prophecy a step further. On that day, his feet will stand on the Mount of Olives, east of Jerusalem. And the Mount of Olives will be split in two, forming a great valley. Zechariah 14 verse 4. So when we hear that cracks are developing now, how can we do otherwise but wonder if the earth is beginning to tremble with the footsteps of prophecy? But the Mount of Olives is significant not only to Christians. To Jews, it is a sacred burial ground with thousands of graves that go back thousands of years. For centuries, Jewish families have chosen to lie here, believing that when the Messiah comes, those buried on this mountain will be the first to rise from the dead. For Muslims, too, the Mount of Olives holds great importance. In Islamic tradition, this is connected to the Day of Judgment, the place where destinies will be decided for eternity. In fact, three great faiths, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, all gaze up at this mountain with awe, convinced that something profound lies here at the end of time. Directly across the Kidron Valley, facing the Mount of Olives, is the closed eastern gate of Jerusalem's Old City, also known as the Golden Gate. Its stones are tightly shut, closed by the Ottoman Turks in the 1500s. History records it was closed to keep out the Jewish Messiah, since prophecy had said he would come through this gate. Ezekiel records this mystery. "This gate shall be shut, for the Lord, the God of Israel, has entered by it." Ezekiel 44 verse 2. Prophecy also says, however, that one day it will open again, when the Messiah himself comes through it in glory. And where does this closed gate face? Directly towards the Mount of Olives. This is where it gets really incredible. Geologists have long known that there is a fault line that begins at the Mount of Olives, continues through the Kidron Valley, and beneath the Temple Mount, directly beneath the Golden Gate. And now, new reports are showing that cracks are appearing not only along the Mount of Olives, but even in the walls near the Golden Gate itself. It is as if the ground itself is whispering of a great shaking to come, a silent warning, a tremor beneath the rocks of prophecy. Scientists and city officials have noticed over the years that parts of the mountain are shifting. There are cracks forming in the slopes, and there have been minor landslides. Some of this is due to natural erosion, earthquakes, and movement of groundwater. But what is catching the eye of believers is that these cracks are running in the same direction as the Bible said, east to west. Just like Zechariah 14 said the mountain would split when the Messiah returns, there have also been minor earthquakes in the region. Jerusalem sits on a major fault line that follows the Jordan Rift Valley. Earthquakes are often associated with God's events in the Bible. From Mount Sinai shaking when God gave the law to the ground shaking when Jesus was resurrected. Can it be that the earth itself is secretly, gradually positioning itself for the final earthquake of all, the one that will clear the path for the King of Kings to return? Even if these rifts are only natural, they are spiritually significant. Just as the ground under our feet is splitting, so the world around us appears to be disintegrating. Morality, truth, and peace seem to be crumbling in so many places. The cracks in the Mount of Olives may remind us that this world is not as stable as we think. Only God's kingdom is unshakable. Therefore, since we are receiving a kingdom that cannot be shaken, let us be thankful and so worship God acceptably with reverence and awe. Hebrews 12:28. When we see the mountain of prophecy itself beginning to separate, we are to raise our eyes to heaven and remember Jesus promised he would return. We are commanded by the Bible to watch. Jesus said in Matthew, "Therefore, keep watch because you do not know on what day your Lord will come." Matthew 24 verse 42. Nobody can provide a date or say with absolute certainty that fractures in the Mount of Olives mean his return is this year or next year. But what we can say is this: every sign, every earthquake, every move in Jerusalem reminds us that the stage is being set. The Bible portrays Jerusalem as the center of the end-time drama, and the Mount of Olives is the very stage upon which Jesus' return will be revealed. For centuries, possibly people questioned how a mountain could literally be split in two. Today, as geologists watch the fissures and as small earthquakes rattle Jerusalem, it all of a sudden becomes possible, even likely. What was once interpreted as symbolism shall one day be seen with our own eyes. If final fulfillment is tomorrow or long yet to come, the same message comes to us today: live ready. The Mount of Olives is dividing, the Golden Gate is shut, and the ancient prophecies are falling into position. These are wake-up calls not to sleep in the days in which we live. Jesus told his people, "When these things begin to take place, stand up and lift up your heads, for your redemption draws near." Luke 21:28. So instead of fear, let us respond in faith. Instead of confusion, let us live in clarity. We know that history is unfolding towards the day when the King comes back. The Mount of Olives is not just a hill outside Jerusalem. It is a hill of prophecy, a hill of prayer, a hill of destiny. Jesus cried, taught, and ascended from its slopes. On its ground, the feet of the Messiah will stand once more someday. And now, when fissures are observed in its face, we are reminded that the Word of God is not dead. The hill is groaning as though creation itself is waiting for the revelation of the Son of Man. Whether they're simple geology or a prophetic warning, they're enough to alert us to the day that we are living. So let us be alert, stay faithful, and hold on to the promise of his glorious return. For one day, perhaps sooner than we think, the Mount of Olives will be split wide open. The Golden Gate will open and the King of Glory will enter Jerusalem to reign forever. Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey of prophecy and discovery. Be sure to subscribe to our channel for more insights, biblical mysteries, and faith-filled encouragement. And as always, thank you for watching.